go.
Okay. All right.
Hangout on air is live. I always say that because I read it. And we are on the Millionaire Mindset Hangout, and we are so excited to have special guest Avram and Nikki today. And we usually have an awesome, huge panel of my super women here. Valerie is out there in Canada today, so that's so fun. And we also are missing Greta. She woke up with a hurt foot, and bless her heart, had to run to get an ambulance, and I don't know what's all, but she had something happen to her. So we're praying that she can. And then Keisha had some major family and things going on, so it's been kind of crazy in the role with family in the mix going on here. But let me introduce Valerie, and then we'll share our focus on today's getting to the millionaire mindset.
Yeah. Thank you. Hi everybody. Almost did this from the sea bus. I was on a sea bus in Vancouver going across the water from West Van to North Van, which I thought you guys would like. So something fun going on in the background. I'm here with my little boys here, twin 4-year-olds here. We're actually in a hotel room here in Vancouver. I'm so excited to have you guys on to talk about mindset, because you have a very, very, very powerful perspective on that. So, whoop, yes, sweetie. Yeah, so I might be popping in and out with the kids. So, Alicia, we got Keisha and Alicia. Alicia, you want to lead in, and I'm here. I'll be popping in and out. So excited that you guys are here.
I understand, Valerie. Those boys always need you at those dire times. You're like, I'm ready right now, and there's no other if, outs, and buts about it. They need it right now. And so today we're talking about the millionaire mindset, and we want to hear from Avram and Nikki. I've been very inspired to hear their story from different calls that they've been on, different hangouts and their stories. And we first met back in Texas, I believe, at kind of a money mindset event. And that was really transformed me, because I was going through in my life a way that I had never transformed my life, because I was at the point where I needed to change my environment, change my situation. And at that event, I kind of made that decision, and it kind of stayed holding me. And learning from Avram and Nikki throughout their journey, they've kind of transformed their lives and how they've been through their teens. The millionaire mindset, to help people keep that millionaire mindset to what was one of their biggest shifts that they had in their business, and maybe was there a certain event, maybe it was a way they approached different things with their team. We just want to hear maybe some major shifts that you could help us keep that, going toward that millionaire mindset, toward that positive goal, positive mind, that really helped you guys, that you can help with our audience, that can help them decide how to make that shift as you did in your life.
Well, thank you, Alicia. Thank you for having us out. I'm very excited, and I love that you have all these powerful, beautiful women that you gather with. I am certainly not exclusive when it comes to men, women, and I have to say that in a male-dominated industry, it's and just even when you look at the richest people in the world, it's still dominated by men. So I just think it's very important that we are speaking to women, for women specifically. And I just want to say I still include the men because I love the men. Very obvious that I love the men.
Thank God.
Thank God.
Right.
Yeah, I'm guessing, since your hangout is focused on a millionaire mindset, that a lot of the people, not most of the people, hopefully they actually desire to become millionaires, right, at some point in their life. So, Avram, I'm going to just hand it off to you, because I feel like you have something to say right now. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm betting that there's probably some people that have no idea who we are, so it'd probably be a good idea to start there.
Sure.
And just share a little about where we came from.
Why should you listen to this?
Yeah, I mean, Nikki and I, there's two of us, right? And then there's us together, and so that equals 3 stories, which can be a lot to talk about. And
Right.
I imagine when we explore some of the topics that you already brought up, Alicia, that we're gonna hit on some of those things anyway. And parts of our individual story will come out, but I think the one that's important to tell at the moment is that when we came together and we started our romantic partnership, that was before we even started a business together. And when we came together with an understanding that in doing so and in preparing for the future and creating our future moving forward, it was going to be founded on a couple different principles. And one of those principles was that we were dedicated to growing ourselves personally forever, right? And that was one of the basics that our relationship was founded on, was that we were going to grow and expand our lives forever. So we got some weird feedback coming through. I don't know where it is. It's kind of squeaking in my ear, but that really set things up for the future of what we began to create together in business. Because we knew that if we were always growing, whether it was here or in our hearts or externally in what we were creating, that was going to be the most important thing that would keep us together, keep us happy, and then ultimately help us make a ton of money and help a ton of people at the same exact time. So when we got together, all we had was our mindset, right? Because when we got together, we were like crazy broke. I mean, Nikki was like negative bank balances. I was working at my dad's dry cleaner, pulling home $10 an hour, trying to like build a little side business at the same time. She was doing a lot of life coaching. I was doing my best to be like a social media consultant with what I knew at the time. And it was hard when we got together. I mean, there wasn't an easy part about it, except for the fact that we spent most of our time in the future and what we were really wanting to create. We spent a lot less of our time focused on what it was that we were actually experiencing going through at the moment.
Oh, there's still some really loud feedback coming.
Oh, cool. We got that taken care of.
We got it taken care of?
That's perfect.
Okay, great.
So that was really the platform for what created what came next. I mean, we came together in 2011, early 2011, April 2011, and struggled for like two and a half years, and then finally had our big break in terms of earning an income that was really deserving of what we were putting out into the world, because we were helping a lot of people, like whether it was through our blogs, our videos, we were doing that stuff back then too, or just doing classes. Like we did a lot of group coaching and like the life, I guess you could say life coaching, but it's just kind of a weird label to put on, basically helping a ton of people have their breakthroughs and empowering people. And so when we finally got our hands on Empower Network and the Empower Network blog, we finally found a platform that we could actually use to monetize the message that we had to change the world. So we blogged about like law of attraction and personal development and consciousness and mindset and all this stuff, and really grew a team very quickly around people that were interested in transformation, right? And so it was through our own transformation that led up to us being a part of the Power Network that allowed us to really explode our income. Right?
Can I just fill in the gap?
Definitely.
Because I do want to clarify or just fill in this gap that, when you said, well, we struggled, it's like that's all relative, because when we first met, like you said, we were really broke. All we had was our mindset. And, I think that it would best serve people to get into relationships where you can create more together than alone. That was my new relationship philosophy when I met Avram, because before that I was creating like codependencies and all kinds of weird, unhealthy patterns. And, when we got together, even before we joined Empower, our income increased.
It did.
You know what I mean? Like going from like, I don't remember the numbers, but was it something like, 30,000 combined to like 80,000 or something like that in that first year we were together, something like that?
Yeah, because we successfully launched a few coaching programs.
Yeah, we did.
In 2012 before we joined Empower.
Right. So I the reason that I want to mention that is because I want to share with people how fast, your mindset can actually change your situation, because I don't want people to think that we went on for a year and we like made nothing and then we got into Empower Network. But it still wasn't the income that we really wanted, and it was not enough. We were actually living in a house that I was really in such a place of like refusing money, through a lot of my life that, I creatively manifested a house to live in for free, rent free. And I actually was an energy healer. That's my background. And I put an ad on Craigslist that was like, energy healer looking for a house that's like this, that Like, I was like, I don't want an apartment, I want a house, da 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 da, like all the 2 bedrooms, like all this stuff. And about a week later, this man called me, and he was really also into like spiritual stuff, and he goes, you know, you sound like the kind of person I want to live in my house. And it's been vacant for like 4 years. So why don't you just come and check it out? And at that time, I was with this other guy. And so we went, and he actually offered it to us for $400 a month. It was this like 850 square foot, 900 square foot home. And so we took it, and then that relationship fell apart very quickly. So I don't know where was I with that. I'm getting a little distracted by this. I'm looking at Valerie and her kid. I'm so ADD. I'm like, what's going on over there?
There you go.
Yeah, yeah, that's much better. Yeah.
Well, so he left, and then you ended up in a situation.
Oh yeah. Right. So I had this really horrible breakup with this guy, and you know, I just went to and I had no job, no income. You know, I was just struggling as an energy healer. I didn't know how to market my business at all. And I was also, you know, it's very interesting when I will say this, if you don't have money and you're struggling, you're not choosing money. You're just not choosing it. Because think about everything that you've ever had come into your life that maybe that you're happy with, like you had to say yes to it. You know, the relationships that you had to say yes to that relationship. Even if it didn't work out, you chose it at one point and then you unchose it. So it's like I was not really choosing money, and yet I had this story of like, well, I'm trying to make my business work, and you know, it was more really, I treated it like a hobby though. And it's interesting when I actually finally said I'm ready to choose money, and I'm going to choose money first energetically inside of myself. All the opportunities and the ways that I could actually create and generate money showed up. So if you feel like, well, I want my life to change, but like the hows aren't showing up, or like there's no like clues being dropped, it's probably because you actually have a big barrier and a big wall up to it. So there I am, you know, totally broke. And this man, you know, this is a man like in his upper 60s, he goes, you know what, you just get back on your feet and you don't have to pay any rent. And when you do get back on your feet, then you can start paying rent again. Now here's the thing about, like, it's an incredible thing, right? To be like, that I created this situation where I got to live in a house for free, like so many people, like who gets that opportunity, right? So that is, you know, you can create abundance and resources that it's not just money. Like that's one thing that I want to share too is like, you know, even if you want to fly in a private jet or have this lifestyle, be open to attracting it in other ways than like, oh, well, that means I have to pay for it. While at the same time doing whatever it takes to generate the money so that you're not like dependent. You're not dependent on somebody who you know, their whim could decide that they don't want you there anymore. And in essence, that's kind of what happened with this landlord. So Avram and I met like a year later. We moved in together, and he even said, "I trust you with the place. You know, whatever you want. If you ever want a roommate, I don't even care. You know, if you want someone to pay the bills for you, you know, whatnot." Now, I'll say that this place wasn't perfect. It
wasn't perfect.
Yeah, to put it nicely. It had. Now it's interesting because when friends came over, they're like, "Oh, this is a cute place." So like it kind of looked cute, but it had a lot of problems. Like the windows, most of the windows were painted shut. They were from 1905. The garage that I had was literally built for the Ford Model T with like old barn doors that were like the paint was like peeled off and everything. There were wasp nests that no matter how much we sprayed, like the wasps just loved making homes under the awning. So I would like sort of like duck and like run into the house. There was a mold problem. So actually when I had finally moved out of that house, I had a lot of health stuff that I had to work through because I was living in a moldy place. The basement was flooded before I moved in, and it was just moldy. And so I couldn't open the windows. I'm living in a moldy place. And then Colorado gets hot in the summertime, and there was like no air conditioning. So
can't open the windows.
Can't open the windows. So it's like it was like a moldy sauna. Basically, it was a moldy sauna. And when Avram and I got together, you know, it was like one of those things where we spent so much money on developing ourselves and getting these certifications. I mean, we spent over, some people think getting all the products and Empower is like a lot, like up to a $5,000 investment. It's like we had to spend over $20,000 on our mindset. Like that's how, like I will say, if you really want to be a millionaire, you need to be willing to like spend, just get everything, like whatever it takes to transform yourself, because it really does start on the inside. So here we were either traveling for a workshop, and like we would come back to this house and we're like, we can't, there's not enough that we're making to like actually be able to travel, do these workshops, and move out of our home. So that's when Empower Network came along, and we just made it happen. And it's like we were ready because we had done so much mindset stuff that it was like boom, 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 boom. And in our first, when did we have our first 10K month? It was like
within like 2 months.
Within 2 months. And we had no network marketing background. We had some social media experience, but we never made money with it. We just knew how to communicate with people. We were finally able to say, okay, now we're going to ask for the money. So if you want money, you have to be willing to ask for the money. And I don't mean just, I'm not talking about begging the universe, please, 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 please. That's neediness. That's not truly asking. That is not truly asking. So anyway, I've gone on a rant. And ladies, is there anything that any feedback that you want to give me or give us? And are there any questions in the audience? Like anything that you want to know from us?
Well, thank you so much. I have noise in the background. I'll cut out again. I would love to know, because I know there's the difference between that whole needy asking space. So could you describe more, like, for yourself what that meant for asking that space? Because it's such a key point. It's such a key point.
It is a key point, and I'm so glad you asked that, because I believe that everything starts with the energy. Everything in our world is made up of energy. Matter is energy. Everything that, all the molecules that come together to make the desk and the chair that we're sitting on, the electrons and all the stuff that I don't even know about, because I'm not really, I'm more esoteric than a scientist, but it's still all energy. And like even to me, like a thought is actually an interpretation of energy. So it's like you have to first be willing to acknowledge where you're at. Just acknowledge where you're at when you want to ask a question. Like, just take that moment and acknowledge where you're at. And don't judge yourself. If you feel the lack and you feel frustrated, like, that's okay. Like, I think too many people sort of make themselves wrong and sort of beat themselves up when they're in a lack space. They're like, snap out of it, like, you idiot, like, think abundance, you know what I mean? And that actually is very counter, what's the word I'm looking for?
Intuitive?
It's not counterintuitive.
It's counterproductive.
Yeah, exactly. It's counterproductive, and it will sort of keep you there. So, get to, and I don't want to put it under necessarily the umbrella of meditation, because I think that's such a broad sub. Like, I don't want to sit here and tell people we need to meditate in like a new agey kind of way. It's more like you need to get into a quiet space. Like, if you've been wanting things and they're not showing up, or you're asking and you're just feeling like a bit frustrated, or maybe you're in a good place but you want more. I have found it best for me and Avram, when we've worked together, is when we shut off the distractions, the cell phone, the computer, all that stuff. And it does not have to be like you become a Zen Buddhist and you have to meditate 6 hours a day. I've done that, and I was still pretty broke. I was actually totally broke. I've done a lot of crazy spiritual work in my life. That's been my path, as I've come from actually a mystical path, where I was like, I'm just going to like not have money in my life, I don't need it, to actually bringing that spiritual energy and embracing having a business, because I actually realized I could transform more people's lives that way. So anyway, how do you know when you're in that need place? It can seem subtle, but it's like, how do you feel when you're asking the question? And some people struggle with, or a lot of people struggle with, like, but how do I actually ask from a clearer place and a more abundant place when my bank account is negative? You know, my bills are stacking up. The debt collectors are calling me. And that's where you need to acknowledge that it's like it's happening now as a result of your past thoughts, and that you can create new ones now that may not change it overnight. I mean, it could, but it may not change it overnight, but it can set you on a different course. And this might sound esoteric, but I'm going to go for it, is that it is all inside of you. And when Avram and I realized that it is inside of us, that the abundance is actually inside of us, prosperity is inside of us, that's where we were able to ripple that out. So to me, it's just going inside, and the easiest way to, I think, for people to tangibly get this is to start thinking before you ask the universe for stuff, and don't just be like, well, thanks for my desk, thanks for my chair, thanks for, okay, I got 3 things, check mark. But like, think of one person that like brings you joy to think about. Maybe it's your kid, maybe it's your niece, maybe it's your partner, like you just, and then start to feel grateful for them. Like what brings you joy and gratitude. And then when you're feeling that, like sort of expand that out across the universe in however way it works for you, or just make that energy really big. And then ask from a place of curiosity, what would it be like? What would it be like when you don't get the vibration and it's not clear for you? I wonder what it would be like to be a millionaire right now. I wonder what it would be like to have the lifestyle that I want. You know? And stay away from the word I want, because it actually means to lack. I want this, universe, please give this to me. Like that's the energy of need.
Yeah.
And Abram, do you have something to add to that?
Yeah, well, want, I think if you look up want in the dictionary, there's like 27 different ways that it means to lack. Like,
yes.
It's crazy. It's a loaded word that will put you in the wrong direction. I think that's a great foundation for what I'm going to share, because you're talking about like universal abundance and really calling in what you want. Mm-hmm. And then I think there's also the people that are like, well, yeah, but what if I'm standing in front of somebody who might want what I have, and I'm going to like ask them for the sale? Like we get on Hangouts and stuff all the time, and you have to be willing to ask people for the sale, or you sponsor a new member into your business. You have to be willing to tell them to, you know, buy the next product or whatever it is. I think part of this is sometimes we feel, and maybe I'm off here, Val, in terms of your question, but I'm just going to answer the way I want to answer anyway, because I think it'll be helpful for somebody. This relates to selling and stuff too. And I've been reading a book recently called Go Giver, Sell More, for like the 2nd or 3rd time. It's by Bob Berg and John David Mann. And the word sell is derived from an old English word, which is sellan, like S-E-L-L-A-N, which means to give, right? And I think you can tell when somebody's asking you from a place of scarcity and need. It feels weird, right? Like it feels weird when somebody asks you from a place where they're just needy and they're just grabby. And like if you've ever been in like a high school relationship where you had the needy boyfriend or the needy girlfriend, like you know what that feels like, and you know that it's like a scarcity thing. Like they're just they're clingy, right? And so
they see you as the source instead of themselves as the source, and instead of them sharing their joy with you, they see you as the joy they need to latch onto.
And it's like the one place that they can go to get it, right? And so when you're working with people or you're working a business where you are maybe in the red, and you're looking to make that next sale and you haven't had one in a long time, or maybe you've never even had one, period, and you're trying to just break through, and you get that one person that seems interested. I see this a lot, and I've been there too, where you're grabbing and you're trying to get the sale, which people like run away from in the other direction. And I think the way to really flip that around is a couple different things, right? First of all, if you had the mindset that there was more than just this one person in front of you, you'd probably be acting a little bit differently.
Right.
That's a whole rabbit hole too that we can go into, is how to identify and create the mindset of abundance, that there's more than enough, blah, blah, blah. There's a way to skirt that though. Like there's a way to like take the back door into that mindset and get there, like I think in a shortcut sort of way, which is if you actually take massive action and you create more avenues and you create more opportunities to come into your life, when you start seeing stuff showing up more and more often, you won't feel the same way that you like need the sale. Does that make sense? Like, let's say you have one person that approaches you like once a month. You're going to feel a lot more grabby with that person if you happen to make it money.
Right.
But if you're getting 3 people or 5 people a day that are engaging you and wanting to know more about your stuff, mindset, because you're like, yeah, I already, like 5 people asked me yesterday, 3 more are going to ask me today, 5 more are going to ask me tomorrow. I don't really care if you want what I have. So I'm just going to be cool.
Right.
And I'm going to tell you what I have. If you want it, that's cool. If you don't, that's cool. And I think that's like an easy way to take the back door. The back door, like using action, is to create opportunities for you so that you can actually see the abundance that's being gifted to you, right? Because when you can see it, it's that much more believable. Like, it is one thing to get yourself into a space, and I've had trouble with this, and I know that people have trouble with this all the time, getting to that space of abundance when you're not, when everywhere that you look, you can't find the evidence for it. So yeah, like, what if you could create the evidence for it by taking more action, creating the bridges to come back to you in order to show you what's possible. Like, Nikki has a really great question that she asks all the time, right? We've been talking about asking questions. That's an important part, because it's not all up to you to get yourself to where you want to be. Sometimes it takes asking the universe or asking source or asking God for some of the answers, right? Or to show you the light, to show you a path to like that next step, right? Because sometimes you can only see the next step. When you take that step, and you keep asking questions, you can see the next step. But the question that might have been confusing, I almost confused myself saying it, but the question that Nikki asks a lot is, she says, when we were really struggling, and it was like we felt like this barrier, like hitting up against a barrier all the time, she would ask, and maybe hopefully ask it correctly, universe, would you be willing to, would you invalidate this perspective of mine? Would you be willing to invalidate my point of view about this so I can see the truth of it? I add that little part in the end because it sounded cool.
Yeah. Would you be willing to invalidate my old reality around money? You know, and that's the thing, is like we would, at least I would obsessively ask questions. And I know there's some quote about, it's like your results being, you know, connected to the quality of the questions that you ask. And I think that we're just not taught to ask good questions. I mean, this is some of what we paid $20,000 to learn, and it was absolutely worth it, because now, you know, we've been in this business for about 2 years, almost 2 years, and
a little over 2 years.
Okay, and we've generated like about $300,000.
Getting close, yeah.
Getting close, and it's like very part-time and living very holistically. You know, that's something that's very important to me. And results not typical. I know. I'm guessing. I know you ladies have some sort of income disclaimer on the page, so you can look at that. But you know, it's like it's been a wonderful experience, and I just know that if we could do it, then anybody could do it. Like, if you know this, I don't like to put the label of hippie on myself. I think a lot of people they look at us and they think we're hippies just because we're like, I don't know if it's like because we're like we actually don't smoke pot, like a lot of the cliches about like I don't go to like hippie festivals like I used to, but I don't really go anymore, you know.
But we are kind of granola.
We are kind. What does that even mean?
I think like health foods and.
Okay, so we're into like organic foods, and like we have a love for humanity, you know. So I guess that makes us hippies, okay? You know, I don't even know where I was going with that, but. Yeah, I actually don't know where I was going. I lost my train of thought. I'm also a little bit, like, not sleepy, but, like, my clock's a little bit off, because at 6 in the morning, Abram, like, kicked me, and then I just couldn't go back to sleep.
It's a karate dream or something, I guess.
So I was, like, on my iPad reading entrepreneur.com, and I know that people have likely heard this in your audience, that, you know, it's like you have to also consume quality information if you want to have a quality life. So, you know, it's like I was like, what am I gonna do with myself right now? I don't even know what to do right now. And because I usually am not up that early. I'm not a morning bird. And so I just started reading all these cool articles, and then I took another little nap, you know. So if I'm a little bit spacey, I guess it's another way reason to call us hippies is because I lose my train of thought in the middle of a sentence.
It's really, I don't even know if it's dependent on the amount of sleep that we've had.
No, it actually is.
Really has
I
nothing to do
actually
with that
might
at
do
all.
this. Even if I had full sleep, I might do this. And actually part of it is because I am very I am empathic and sort of aware of, it's like, and I don't really care if people think, there's going to be people who think like, oh, whatever, that's really out there. That's not who I'm speaking to. But there's people who know that there is a greater interconnectedness, whether you call it source, God, whatever you want to call it, and that we actually, we are raised through our educational system to become disconnected. And so I really think it's not even, mindset is a very it's a very, not generic, but it's like a very acceptable term, I think, in self-development. And I want to challenge people to actually go beyond the mind, because your energy is actually beyond the mind, and you have the capacity to go there. And if you just ask, how do I actually become more in tune with the source that I am, like that's another question you could be asking. You'll start to have a magical life that's greater than you can even imagine. And that's actually another question that I would ask is like, how can my life turn out and unfold? How can my life unfold greater than I could even imagine? Because a lot of times our imagination, and this is sort of a next level thing, because a lot of people tell you imagine and vision boards and all that stuff, and it is valid at a certain point in your evolution and all that stuff. And I still will play with that stuff, but it's like you can actually go. There's actually a step beyond it where you're like, well, what if my life could? It's like this or something greater. Because a lot of times, as we're doing this sort of unlearning, unprogramming, what we imagine is actually what other people want us to have, or maybe what we think we should want. So it's like you have to actually be willing to ask to be shown something different. And that's also where you get to experience just how beautiful and kind the universe actually is. Then that helps to reshape your money mindset. So I think that you can actually. I'm just saying, for me, what's helped us create the wealth that we have is to go deeper, to go beyond the mind, to go beyond what is sort of considered acceptable, and to get a little weird and out there, and to, it's like somebody was on a Facebook thread that I posted, what is spirituality to you? And they were like, well, I know there's 8 dimensions and we live in 3. And it was like, I just went for it. And I'm coming also from a very feminine perspective, because I also see that there's this masculine overlay through a lot of self-development and the exploration of the universe. And it's like, well, here's the proof and the evidence and all that stuff. And I'm not negating that. I'm just giving you permission, and it's not just women, but men too, to tap into the sort of receptivity and the openness of the feminine that goes beyond the analytical and beyond the sort of facts and figures of it all. And you give yourself permission to know what you know, and to get to that knowing of what you know, because you're just this body and this human, but you're a being. And if you were to ask yourself right now, where do I end? Where does my being end? You know where it ends. You know what I mean? Like, if you really want to know the secrets of the universe, you got to get out of your head. You just got to go a little bit weirder. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else I can say about that in this moment. If you have any more, I'm here to contribute as much as I can to you and your audience while we're here.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Alicia, can you see on our page anything that's going on right now?
And by the way, if you do feel like like there was this moment of quietness after I said what I said, and a lot of times we look to fill the space. And I want to say to be okay with that space. There's actually so much there in that space. There's actually so much there. There's a whole universe there that you can tap into.
I love that. It's bringing a lot of awareness to more of you and awareness to where your magic is. I went to Science Museum last week with my daughter, and that was like one thing we were really excited about. Oh, it's magic. We're taking a lever and we're lifting up a whole car, and it was like, oh, it's magic. The car is just magically lifting up. You're like, but you're pulling it over here, So it's that what is that magic, that energy that you create, and we can relate it in so many different ways. And I love how you shared us how you became more aware using that with your money. And there's so many different powerful little lessons that some people just need to hear that a couple of times to be more aware of different I want to say different thoughts, or something that you can, different ways you can apply it, different ways you can take more action, and I love that.
Yeah, it's like you can have a, are we on? Okay. I was actually just reading this in one of the entrepreneur articles by Tony Robbins. It was like a short little article, and and Chris Record, he's talked about reframing a lot, and Tony was saying he's met a lot of rich people that were really unhappy. There's a lot of rich people. People think like as soon as I make money, my problems are over. It's not the case. You actually just get different challenges. I don't even call them problems, but see, that's how I'm framing things. But if say these are problems, then I would start to become less happy the more money that we got. You know what I mean? And so Tony was saying, hey, I've met rich people that are unhappy, rich people that are happy, and the people who are the happiest. It's not about that they have money, that they don't have money. It's the meanings that they attach to what's happening in their lives. Because there are things that we have influence over, and there are certain things that we can't control. Like we can't control other people. We can't control their behavior. So I know that I was going somewhere with that in a direction that I can't remember now, but I did just want to, oh yes, here it is. So it's like, for me, working with money had to be on my terms. And creating money in my life had to be on my terms, meaning that like I kind of needed a framing that would give me incentive to get out of broke. Like I had to look at where I can use this to contribute to humanity and my mission. And Avram and I want to transform as many lives as possible. And you can be someone that just like gets money, like I'm going to get money today, and that's cool. But if you look at like Donald Trump, money means something very different for him than like Oprah Winfrey. They have a different consciousness and energy on it, and there's no right and wrong. And so, what I want to offer people just to play with is to actually play with money and to start asking questions there too specifically. And to like I know what helped me is to just like kind of like flirt with money and I would ask myself questions like, if money, it's like, this is a good question, if money were your lover, would it still be in bed with you? Or would it want to kick you out because you've been so mean to it? Or it's like, if you look at money like as a friend and it knocks at your door, like what do you say to money? Like, is it, and like I actually made a list of all the things I would say to money. It's like, well, I could let you in and that'd be great, but you're probably going to leave tomorrow. Or
letting you in is too much responsibility.
Yeah, letting you in, too much responsibility, and
I don't really have time.
Yeah, I don't really have time, this means that I'm buying into the Matrix. If I let you in my life, then like I'm like aligning with the Illuminati, like all that kind of stuff. And I really went and looked at, are those beliefs really my reality of like my infinite self? And it's like, no, none of it is. It's all like other people's realities that I've allowed to myself to create like a construct around. So if you can start having like a dialogue with money, like in a personified way, it's like a backdoor to your unconscious and subconscious mind. So that doing that kind of thing is just really powerful, and you can really create it on your own terms. Like for me, as a tool for creating greater consciousness on the planet. That if I can become conscious with money every time I use a dollar bill, and I actually don't buy things unless I actually talk to the consciousness of it all. So it's like, again, to me, everything's all energy. So it's like when I have a shirt that I see in the store, I don't just go, oh, I like it, I'm going to buy it. I actually talk to the energy of the clothes. I hold it against my body, and I'm like, if I buy this, is this going to create more money? Because money's just not paper, it's energy. And the way it creates more money is when I put it on and my body feels good, and people say, oh, that's a wonderful, I love that sweater on you, that looks great. That energy creates more, it creates more abundance, and that's more money. So it becomes this energy that circulates. It's just this. I'm talking about creating your own economy here. So you want to listen very closely. And I talk to when I buy something at the things that don't feel good to my body, and I'm going to be asking my money, my bank account, just tapping in. It doesn't have to be like I don't like sit down in lotus position at the store in the middle of the store. I'm just sort of tapping in and going, okay, so bank account, money, how do you feel about me buying this? Or, what will it, maybe if that sounds too weird to you, you can ask, what will it create for me to buy this? I'll ask my money, like, are you cool with this? Are you cool with my, and it's not like the money necessarily talks back like a person, but it's more like I get like an energy, and if it feels like bricks in my stomach, or like when you eat a big burrito and you're just like, this feels really heavy, it's gonna take me forever to digest it. That's a no. That's a no. That would be a contraction of my world. But if it's like a lightness and it just keeps going, then that's a yes, and it's an expansion. So that's how Avram and I play with money every day. It's like, and this is how I see it. When I buy from that expansive place, and I give that dollar, and it's coming from that total infinite space and infinite yes, then I am changing the blueprint. It's like I'm healing the energy of money and all the distortions in the world by doing that. So when I give that dollar, it's a ripple effect out, and it creates more abundance and more prosperity for all of humanity.
That's how we make all of our decisions in business and everything.
And not to say we're perfect at it. We definitely had times where but we justified or we rationalized. And what does rationalize mean? It means rationing lies. Rationing lies to yourself. So we've definitely done that. But what's cool is like we don't frame it as like, oh, now we're horrible people and we're not aware. We're like, okay, how can we just become more aware? And then, Alicia, you talked about your awareness. Like, this is what I'm talking about, is like how it looks like, giving you examples of what it looks like to cultivate your awareness. Because if you can cultivate that, then, man, it's going to save you so much time, energy, and money in your business, because people won't be able to easily lie to you or cheat you or steal from you. I mean, let's be real. When you make more money, there are some people who are going to try and take advantage of that. I mean, I put some on Facebook like, oh, anyone have a recommendation for, house cleaning? And I get people that are like, well, how about you fly me over and I'll stay at your house and I'll clean for you. It's like, that is some of the stuff that just comes with it. You know what I mean? And you got to embrace that too. Are there any questions in the audience? I'm very curious. We don't have the page up, so.
I haven't seen any, but yeah, you're right. There's so many different ways to look at things, and things that stop people, maybe religiously in beliefs when you're thinking the love of money, and they have to know that different awareness of how you're approaching it, especially the different free will, I guess you would say, as you kind of approach things, and why people think you're a hippie in the ways, because you have that more free awareness in some of your approaches to money and different just different things in your life, I'm sure that shows that aspect. And I think that's a very important awareness that everybody needs to understand and be clear with themselves, to where they lie their love, and because we all have to have money, and it's a huge topic that a lot of I guess, in attraction marketing, where your love for money and love, do you really love money? Is it overpowering your beliefs and religious beliefs? And it just goes, you can keep going on conversations, I think, about that. So I like how you made it very clear for us. And if there's any other questions from the group, I love to hear too, because you really laid it out and brought a lot of awareness to me, from choices when you first started talking about that, to lots of different points you guys brought out today. And I'm so thankful to having a clearer mindset as we talked about money, and everybody here is striving to, have that more millionaire abundance in their lives. And Valerie, I'd love to hear from you if you have any other insights. I'm just appreciative. I want to listen to this again so we can apply more, be more aware of different factors that some of these things you just have to ingrain and look at things in a different light again to put more awareness on it.
Yeah, anybody watching this is one of those you want to watch and rewatch and take notes, seriously, because I mean, what you have. When I was taking notes on all the questions asking yourself, and I mean everything from the perspective of that process when someone is stuck, going through that whole gratitude place, starting and moving in, and I'm very much with you, and I love talking about it, that place of awareness of the source, and having that process of using the questions to kind of pull you back into it and bring you back into that awareness, how you're talking to money. I'm like sort of summarizing a lot of this, but extremely powerful. I had a question, and it's actually to Avram, because because I get this a lot, and I've heard this a lot too. You taking a lot of action, and taking the action definitely can, you bring in all those different avenues that allows, when you're talking on the side of just the sale, right? Of having that completely different energy when you're talking to somebody. But what would be your suggestion to someone, say, they're coming from, like you were talking about, Nikki, that they're in that place, and they're in that place of scarcity and lack because they've got this reality in front of them of whatever the bills and everything else. And I love what you said about saying, this is a result of your past thinking. That's all this is. It's not a reflection of the future. It's just a current placement of what has resulted from their past energy and your past thinking. How would you recommend with somebody going through wanting to take those actions, but they're in that place of fear and scarcity and lack, and they know they want to take those actions, because there's a difference between taking the actions like this and taking them from a different energetic place, how to transition to there to take those actions. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I like this question, and I have two sort of perspectives on it. One of them is definitely brash. It's a bit harsh. It's like the male perspective, which is get over it. Right? Seriously, it's like, I do love this question because there's a lot of nuances to it, but in the end, it actually is a very, very simple thing. And it comes along and you hear it all the time, but for whatever reason, a lot of people, it's in one ear, out the other. And it comes down to really making a decision about what you want. When you're really clear about what you want, and what you want is inspiring to you, the fear that comes up, you blast right through it. I think like the biggest disease on the planet is sort of like the mediocrity, and I don't know if the right word is apathy for a situation, right? It's sort of like like, it's the place where, like, the worst place in the world to be is actually right in the middle of totally thriving and just barely surviving, right? The worst place to be is right in the middle of that, because of that apathy and the fact that it's not bad enough for you to change, and it's also not good enough to inspire you to change. right?
Which is like having a job.
Yeah, and that's a whole different subject in itself. But it's like I'm just gonna say it again. When you're inspired by the vision that you cast for yourself and where it is that you'd really like to go and where you'd like to be, the fear doesn't matter anymore because you go through it. You stop being a wussy when it comes to taking action on things that need to happen because you just it's just exciting. You know, it's like when I first got on the internet in 2010, it came from a decision that I had just finished up college. I had to move back home with my parents. I got dumped by my girlfriend that I had at the time. I couldn't find a job. You know, I just spent all this time getting a degree, and I just felt like crap. Like I was working at my dad's dry cleaner. I'd come home and I'd be like, what now? Am I just gonna like go have a hamburger with friends and a beer and then come home and go to sleep and wake up and go to the dry cleaner again? This sucks. And so I felt like really bad like inside. And so then I pushed a lot of people away. I was really angry and really upset and just I had like, you know, first world problems. Right? Like I had all like the stuff that you need to survive, but in the inside I was like deeply hurting. And I realized that the reason I was deeply hurting was because I wasn't growing anymore. Right? I'd spent 16 years going to school, growing and learning and meeting new people and all that stuff, and everything just like screeched to a halt because I was back home and I wasn't doing anything to like bring my life more. I wasn't creating anything. And that's when I created my idea, Inspiration, to do something brand new every single day that I'd never done before, and then put it on a camera because I wanted to learn how to do social media at the same time. And so the two kind of came together. And the reason I started that was because I was in a place where I'd had enough. And I was tired of feeling like crap. And I knew that I literally had to do something really drastic in order to change it. And so when I put out my first few videos, not knowing what was going to happen, not knowing what I was going to do, but I was just doing it because I knew that I needed to do it in order to change, I got crazy inspired because I started seeing how quickly my mood changed about things and how many new opportunities and stuff were coming into my life. And that inspiration carried me through an entire year of doing videos. And I got such a taste of it that I never forgot what that was like. And I continue to bring it forward into everything that I do now. Like recognizing the sort of inspiration that I had. Like I had an idea, like a worthy ideal. I think it's like in Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, right? Like the pursuit of a worthy ideal. My ideal was I want a better life for me. And I got that. And then the path was revealed for how I could also help other people create a better life for them. And it's that inspiration that drives me personally through my fears, through the obstacles and challenges. And I also just stopped making this thing that I want so damn significant.
Right. Bigger than you.
Bigger than me, right? To make anything significant, to make it bigger than you.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, I like the example because I think it's funny and it's also very relevant. It's like, for a lot of people, before you lose your virginity, sex is a big deal. For people, right?
Yeah.
You know, and there's like all the jokes, you know, that you hear like
movies.
Yeah. You know, they talk like American Pie, right? Is a great example. They always talk about there's a build up around whatever it is that you'd like to attain or create that it often paralyzes people from ever taking action. All you need to do is to get clear on what you want, find the inspiration to actually get it, and nothing will stop you. If your stuff's getting in the way, and then you can jump in here too. If there's stuff getting in your way, this is just my perspective, it means you're not clear enough, you don't want it bad enough, and the inspiration isn't there.
This is what I want to just interject about what you just hearing you talk about the inspiration, this challenge that you did.
Yeah.
What I'm noticing, what I just got in like a new level, is that the inspiration was created from a curiosity.
Yeah.
Meaning that in addition to everything else you were saying, like you were getting away from the stagnancy and the mediocrity, so you were motivated by that.
Yeah.
But like you didn't necessarily go, because if you were to see like the different things that he did. It was anything from like building a chalk mural with kids to building a snowman with kids, and then like a burrito eating contest and a sushi eating contest, climbing a mountain, like all kinds of like, it was very diverse. And he did this every single day. So what I saw is that you every day you had to wake up. I'm sure there were days you did not feel like it. Right?
More than a few.
A lot of days when you were like, you didn't wake up, you're like, ah, I'm inspired. Like, I have a fantasy about what inspiration looks like. It's more like you stayed curious. I'm committed to do this. My vision is to get out of mediocrity and to have an inspired life. What am I going to do today that's brand new? I wonder what I'm going to do today.
Because most days I didn't know what it was going to be.
You didn't know what it was going to be.
I didn't like plan it all out. I had the first 2 weeks planned when I started, and then I threw all that out the window because it never went as planned.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, but you had to wake up and ask that question.
Yeah.
You know, that was going, and then by doing it, and I'm sure there were, like you're saying, and I know there are some days you just didn't like feel like it, or you're like, I just don't know what to come up with. Okay, I'll do this one. And maybe that particular activity or challenge you didn't think would be like that enjoyable. But then when you actually did it and you put it out there and you shared it with people, you became inspired to do it again.
Absolutely.
By taking the action and sharing it, you became inspired. And, you know, it's interesting, I think about the word, okay, I want to think about sell, and then I also want to add the whole thing about fear and fear getting in the way. Is what, as you were talking, what I was getting the download of is that usually people are like, I'm just so paralyzed by the fear, that those fears have little to do with you, and it's all about everybody else. So my question to you, my friend, is who are you living for? Because if you're so caught up in like, I'm afraid what's going to happen when I like do this Empower Network business and I'm finally successful, it is not like the only real fears are the fear of falling, I believe, right? The baby has, and what's the other one?
Loud noises.
And loud noises. Those are the only real fears that exist.
That you're born with.
That you're born with, right? All the other stuff that we call fear, every fear that we have is actually just a bullshit story. It's a bullshit story that you've told yourself that makes you feel this emotional anxiety energy. It's not real. None of it's real. So when you're like, I'm afraid, look at like what you're really afraid of. And chances are it has to do with what somebody else will think of you. So, you know, that's another thing I had to look at, because I did have this, you know, period of my life where I was like, and I think women tend to do this more. I'm just going to be real. It's part of our Nice Girl program. I was actually talking with a really, this woman who has like a huge blog, huge following. We were just talking about this the other day, is that she's like, I still catch my nice girl, you know, and that's people pleasing. And so it's like you spend your time people pleasing to the point where when it comes time to do something for yourself, and where you need to do something for yourself and be quote unquote selfish, you're like afraid. Suddenly you're afraid. That's not real. That's just a program. That's just a program. So hopefully that will help you, you know, feel like it's less significant. It's not bigger than you. And what if it's your body also giving you the awareness? Like when you get all like, it feels like anxiety or whatever, what if you didn't label it as that, but that your body is giving you an awareness of what you're actually holding on to? And you know, it's interesting, Alicia, like going back to the whole hippie thing, it's like the stuff I'm talking about is actually like quantum physics. Like quantum physicists are talking like this, you know what I mean? And they're not called hippies, so maybe I need to dress a little bit nerdier and start quoting more facts. But I don't, I mean, there's worse things to be labeled than a hippie. So I'm like, for the most part, cool with it. And hey, we live in Boulder. It is a hippie town. But anyway, going back to the selling thing, what
I'm so curious about what you're going to say.
Well, I realized as you were giving the definition, it comes from sell on, right? Sell on. How do you pronounce it?
I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's spelled S-E-L-L-A-N.
Sell on.
From the Old English Dictionary. Old
and
English.
It means, what does it mean again?
To give.
To give. Okay, so a lot of people are like I actually had this conversation with a friend that they're like, well, I want to be successful and have money, but I just don't want to sell.
I just don't want to give.
And so anytime you have a resistance that says, I don't want to sell or make sales, that means that you do not want to give. You don't want to give whatever that product is offering, or maybe it's your service that you're offering. And I can look back and realize all the time where I was like, I didn't want to learn how to sell and market my business. And it's like, I wasn't getting exposure. I wasn't getting eyeballs on my site. I wasn't getting, it was like, I got these sessions once in a while. Because, and it was almost like I was holding my breath the whole time. You know what I mean? And it's like, there was somewhere where I was actually refusing to give myself to the world and to give my message to the world, like I am now. You know, I was refusing to just give of myself to the world in a way that would also be rewarding for me, because I think obviously the word sell, you give and then you get paid for that. When there's a sale, there's a money that comes to you because of that sale. So I just think knowing that to sell means give could change your whole life. You know, and here's the thing, it's just like money. Like money, you know, when people are like, well, the love of money is the root of all evil, it's like, you don't have to love what somebody else did with it. You know, money's a beautiful thing, because imagine, I actually said this to my friend the other day, we were laughing really hard. I said, imagine if like, Jenny, imagine if like, you know, you called me up and you wanted a website, and I was like, well, I have a donkey for you. You know what I mean? Or like, you know what I mean? Like, well, I can trade you, like, okay, wait, you want a website and I can give it to you. Or no, I can give it to you. What do you have for me? She goes, I can give you a donkey. You know what I mean? And so our joke was like, so you want some ass? And then I was like, well, I actually already got a donkey. I already had ass that I traded for last week. So I don't really need any more asses. So we're going to have to figure something else out. And imagine going to the grocery store. Remember back in the day, I know a lot of hippies who think, well, we should just go back to barter economy. A barter economy. And I'm like, no, that would suck, because it would take you 3 days to go grocery shopping. You know, it's like you'd be sitting there like negotiating for your raspberries. You know what I mean? Like it would be extremely long. So
you've got to get this, to get this, to get this, to finally get that thing, because now you got what that person actually wants.
Exactly. It just would take forever. So, and that's why, like, if you look at history, like, it took people, I mean, you had to ride on your horse and buggy for, like, 2 days to go get something. I mean, it's just a lot.
To get to the rendezvous.
To get to the rendezvous.
Then you still got to trade.
Yeah, and then you still, exactly, you know. Sometimes you got to trade your body. I mean, anyway, that's a whole nother topic, but you know, it's like money is this universal form of exchange, and you know, we really do get to create what we want, in spite of what society tells us and the media tries to tell us. And you know, there is a sort of, you don't have to be a conspiracy theorist to look at the very obvious messaging that occurs in movies and in you know, shows like Entertainment Tonight and you know, celebrities and stuff, and it's like, we sort of, money is put on this pedestal and a separation from the rest of society, and the system is broken, but it's because the internal system is broken. So each person that fixes their internal system, it changes the world. I really believe that. So it's like, you know, stop watching that bullshit. That's going to make you feel separate from you know, from money. And even when you're watching a movie, watch it consciously. Like do you notice how like every like cool action movie that's like about superheroes, usually the superhero comes from a poor family and the villain is rich, you know? Yeah. The evil rich villain. So, you know, just pay attention to that. And as you pay attention to it, you'll get to see like, wow, am I holding on to this? Am I holding on to this subconscious program? Like, we are fed this whole story that like rich people are evil. Like, you don't see front page news of like the amazing philanthropic things that rich people are doing, you know? So that's it.
Yep.
Love it, love it, love it. And I'm just checking to see. I don't know if I can refresh the page or not, what's going on here. But I think there's going to be, hang on one second. Oh, here we go. I got Carol Mikowski. She says, very cool reminders, Nikki, about getting out of your mind, going out of your mind.
True.
It says here, also gained from Avram's lesson about taking massive action to create results and therefore enhance and expand our attraction of money, being more open to financial abundance. And oh, here we go. Lisa Burnham says, "Hey guys, thanks for the insights. Wondering about your daily work ethic. How do you balance working together? Love you guys."
There is no balance. We just do it. There's no
a difference
secret.
between balance and harmony, I think, and a lot of people have like this polarized perception about like balance is like it can actually become like a very calculated thing. So this is again going beyond the mind. This is how it manifests. Is we ask like I ask like what can we contribute to each other today? What can we contribute to our business? And for the most part, it just sort of flows. And when it doesn't, we take a moment and do like a check-in, and we're always checking in with each other. I would say it has more of a sense of, rather than balance, which I think, this is just my personal opinion, I think sometimes people try too hard to balance, they become like rigid or something, like it's very weird, and I like the idea, my framing is harmony. It's where many pieces can exist that maybe seem chaotic even, coming together, but there is this natural state of harmony, no matter what pieces you throw in. Yeah.
And there's no like
calculation.
There's no calculation or like evening of the scales.
Right. That's what balance reminds me of. You think of a scale. Because
in order to maintain the scale, like let's say I did more work one day, well then tomorrow Nikki's supposed to do more work and I'm supposed to do less. It would get really weird, and I think
get resentful.
Get resentful. It's like, oh, are they pulling their weight or not? And it's like the way that it goes is like I typically like to spend more time like getting nerdy on the tech.
Right.
And spending like more time on the computer. Nikki's like a really amazing team builder, and great at like the marketing messaging and how we approach something or position stuff. And then there's other days where it's like, she's hammering out a blog and I'm like, wow, that's freaking amazing. And I'm like spending time mapping out stuff on a whiteboard. It is fluid, it is harmonious. And like you said, whenever it's not, then it's really easy to just take a second and look at it and be like, okay, so do we need to change anything here in order to do what we came here to do?
And sometimes it's a mindset thing even, or we're not like, the whole path of evolution and becoming your greatness is an ever unfolding thing. It's not like it really is a journey. I know that sounds cliche, but it's because it's freaking true. It is a journey, and so we are not perfect by any means, and sometimes like one of us will get almost like caught up in our own little bubble, and then we're not communicating that to the other person. And then we're like, wait, something is like off track here, and we're like, oh, well, here's what I'm up to, and I didn't communicate this to you, or here's what's going on.
Totally.
And we do our best to not, we don't, it's like, and if we have a moment of frustration, we're willing to say that and speak to that, and then it's done. And we don't like drudge up the past with each other. I don't say like a week later, well, last week you're blah 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 blah. We don't do that kind of stuff. So but to answer like is it like what's our daily work routine? I think that's the best way we could answer it, because it's really not. It's not a routine.
We don't have set hours. We don't have a specific way that we do the day. I mean,
we're not the most organized people. We're more creative types, and it takes effort in order to create some structure, and we do create some by doing like whiteboards, and this is, we've got like our big goals, and then we sort of break it down, and here's what we want to accomplish today, so we check it. This is what we actually started doing that's very practical, and if you aren't working in a partnership, like, we actually do our best to, like, the night before, say, this is what I want to do tomorrow.
And even if it's just you, it's actually a good thing to do too, is to know at least 1 to 3 things that you must do tomorrow.
Right. Because that way I know kind of what his day looks like, and how my day can, and then like what parts we want to like come together on, And this might change, it's like we might, as we expand into other, like creating our own products and doing other things, we might need a little bit more structure, We both itched our face at the same time.
That's so cute.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, it's like for now it's been working, and honestly I feel sometimes a little bit trapped if I have too much structure. It's like I am a free spirit, so I need I need wiggle room. I need wiggle room. But that's for now, and it could change. I definitely have been. I usually, if I am going to be really disciplined about something, honestly, it's usually like one thing at a time. So like if I'm going to do like a detox program, I'm like super strict and disciplined about that, and then I give myself more wiggle room with other things. Because if you're like super like, you wake up and this is what it needs to be, and this is like, for me that's a little. But here's the thing: we don't have kids, so that's another thing. I'm just gonna remember that.
We don't have jobs because we do this full time.
Yeah. So which is really part time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, y'all guys are just fun watching all finish each other's sentences.
We do that too. We do that all day long.
Love it, love it, love it. Well, I just want to. I'm just going to refresh the page one more time to see if we've got anything coming in here. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I think we're good, and just want to. This is we're a little over an hour, and it's perfect because we want something that folks can actually. This is something, honestly, I'm going to definitely be rewatching and taking it in. There's just so many powerful, very powerful thoughts and suggestions and every process of how to adjust mindset and something too to even put in your back pocket as well, folks, because you ever having a day where you're finding yourself off, may I recommend coming back and watching this, because I think you'll find yourself naturally just by taking in everything that Avram and Nikki have been saying. You're taking yourself through that process. You'll pull yourself up out on the other side of it. This is a wonderful resource. So, guys, what would you say? We have these wonderful links below. What would you say to folks about the links?
I would like to give you, see what I did there? I'd like to give you the ability to create whatever it is that you want. A blog changed my life in 2010, changed our lives, and we made one together for the first time with our coaching business, both on a spiritual, emotional, and a financial level. And so if you're really somebody that's looking for a total transformation, or even just a small transformation in your life that gives you more self-esteem or gives you an extra $500 or $1,000 a month, independent of whatever it is you're already doing, and you're looking for a place to really grow your spirit, then I invite you to click the button below this video. It's going to take you to a page on blog, and we'll teach you how to use it.
Yeah.
Right? Teach you how to use it.
Now I see how it's like selling is to give.
Yeah.
And buying is receiving the gift.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Great. Great. On that note, Alicia, we can close this out. Click the button, and we will see you all next week. We have another amazing, amazing guest coming next week.
Cool.
Awesome.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody, and
happy Thanksgiving.
having us out.
Thank you.
Thanksgiving.